Welcome back to Communication Steroids, the podcast. I'm Tim Gonzo Gordon.
And I'm Roger Pike. And Tim, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, what we're going to talk about is kind of a thumbnail sketch of who we are, what we do, why we're doing this thing. This is about our 15th podcast, I believe.
So don't you think it's about time we introduced ourselves?
Yes, we said, time we did a little splaining here. Roger, I've known you for 10, 11 years. Is it longer than that? Or is it
something like that, yeah.
It was 94, 95. We started working together in radio, and I had, at that point, been in radio since the mid-'70s. I mean, 25 years total. I mean, I did everything. I did disc jockeying, music directing, afternoons, mornings, middays, news, traffic, sports, weather, talk shows.
Well, I guess I took kind of the same career path in terms of radio. I mean, I interned my way into radio. I was an unpaid intern for 3 months, and then they decided that I was worth paying, so they gave me money for it. But my speaking career actually began in high school on the public speaking and debate team. And I was a state champion in public speaking and debate, and went to Lewis and Clark College in Portland on public speaking and debate scholarships. I mean, it's just like a football scholarship. I went as a public speaker.
You grew up partially in Texas and then moved to Oregon.
I did, and moved to Oregon and went to Lewis and Clark. Again, they said, we want you to talk your way into college, and I did.
And you did. So you did a lot of debate and public speaking basically from when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
You've done that for a long time.
Yeah, for 40 years.
And I really took the other approach. I didn't want to get in front of a microphone or in front of people for the longest time. I did finally discover that I could sit in a room with no one around me and speak into a microphone and play music. See? Yeah. And say, yeah, that was Paul Revere and the Raiders and whatever
Well, face it, you got into it because you love the music.
That's exactly true.
And I got into it because I love the sound of my own voice.
But let's talk about public speaking. You've done a lot more of that than I have. Now, I've been a member of Toastmasters for 10 plus years and done other speeches outside, quite a few, still adding to that. But your public speaking career, you've done a lot of things before, and you and I landed together in Toastmasters together shortly after we met, actually.
Well, I have, I graduated from college with 20 or 30 or 40 public speaking trophies. Yeah. I think my mother has most of them now. I have no idea. I think I have 2 of them in my office. But I graduated from college with all this hardware, and kind of put that career on the shelf. And did nothing
along with the
hardware, and did nothing with it. And then I decided to join Toastmasters, not because I needed to learn public speaking, that was already accomplished, but because I wanted a forum to re-hone my skills, and frankly, I wanted a place to compete. And Toastmasters offered me the opportunity to become competitive as a public speaker again, and I did. And I won another 20 or 30 trophies, and you won a few yourself.
Won a few, yeah, exactly. Humorous speech contests were the ones that I really enjoyed. Yeah. Because you never knew where you were going with some of those things. The best speech I ever wrote totally on the cuff, just ad-libbed it and then refined it. And it be in a one that's 3 or 4 levels. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that speech. I really enjoyed that speech.
How to play the guitar in 30 seconds flat.
Yeah.
Or how to learn to play the guitar, yeah. So.
Yeah, and I won the regional championship in humorous public speaking with a speech called Holidays Are for Husbands, which grew out of real life also.
Yeah, exactly.
But I won some international speaking contests as well, and that's why I got back into it, was for the opportunity to compete. And then you came forward and said, why don't we take these skills that we've got, both the presentation skills that we have as public speakers, but also the media skills that we have from a combined, what have we got to get between us? 40 years?
40 years in radio, yeah.
40 years in radio. I did some print work as well.
I started out as a journalist in journalism in high school and college, so, yeah.
So, between us, we've got 40 years in radio. We bought radio spots and advertising. We've produced them. We've written them. We've voiced them.
We've done it for other people. We've done it for ourselves.
We know what works, and we know from a practical standpoint, from the standpoint of having bought media, what people who buy media are looking for, what it is they need.
We've kind of walked both sides of that. And as far as public speaking, you and I have both done a lot of evaluating of other people to help them become better. There's certain
and mentoring
skills to do that, to mentor folks and to make them better and to show them what it takes to become better. And there's some very specific things that you learn to do that.
In fact, you and I were president of our local Toastmasters Club, and one of the things, we were co-presidents the same year, and one of the things that I'm proudest of that we introduced into that club was our mentoring program, which became a template for the mentoring program that was introduced into Toastmasters all across the state. We had an incredibly good mentoring program, and as a result of that mentoring program, we won the highest club award that Toastmasters offers, the President's Distinguished Club Award. And it was because of that program, the mentoring program.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about our website and what we're doing here with communicationsteroids.com. We came up with communication steroids. We threw some names around. We really wanted to find some term that would help people understand that we want to help people with their communication skills. And steroids it's kind of a hot term.
Hot issue. And thinking back on it, maybe we could have been a little wiser with our choice of names, because, steroids are illegal, and people who use them in sports are going to get banned for life for using them.
The certain use of steroids are illegal. There are some steroids that doctors prescribe.
That they prescribe.
In and of itself, a steroid is just a thing to...
Our point was, actually, I think that the reason that we ended up choosing communication steroids is not because we like that name, but because we like the sub-name.
We like the tagline.
The tagline, add muscle to your message.
Yeah.
And we liked that so much that we thought that we
And I actually ran across about a week ago another company that was using the name steroids in their positioning. And they were looking at it as a positive thing.
Right. But the point, and we really both liked the add muscle to your message tagline. So, and that was an outgrowth of that. And what we're trying to do with this website, with Communication Steroids, with the podcast, with everything, is to give to folks the opportunity to borrow from our experience and to learn from our experience. And we have decided to take the mentoring program, the training program that we've developed, and to offer it to people so that no matter what kind of communication they're trying to do, from public speaking to media presentations to buys to just getting a better meeting at your office, that they can improve those skills. I can recall there was a movie, it was Jazz, All That Jazz.
All That Jazz, yes.
And in that movie, Roy Scheider takes a dancer out of line, and he says, "I don't know if I can make you a brilliant dancer, but if you pay attention to me, I can make you a better dancer." We
actually put a program together which really sort of inspired this whole thing, an 8-part audio series, and we'll just kind of run through this real quickly because I want to wrap up our podcast here in about 2 minutes. Session 1 looks at why public speaking, what is it, where do you start, what are the 3 most important things to learn. Session 2 is organization, how you organize your presentation, why the opening is important, that sort of thing. Session 3, preparation and rehearsal. How long ahead of time should you prepare a speech? How much your topic depends on your audience. Session 4 is presentation and technique. And Roger, you can take it down for Session 5.
Session 5, be yourself. We want you to know who you are and to play on that, at least for you, as you become a better speaker and a better presenter. Session 6 is press relations. I was a newsman for 10 years. You've been in news as well. We know what newsmen look for. We know how to handle the press, and we're telling you how to do it. Session 7 is the new media, and you should talk about that because you're way better at it than I am.
Well, you were talking about blogs and podcasting and video online, email, easy newsletters, all the social networking media. We talk a lot about that in this Web 2.0, what it all means, how podcasting can be effectively used, like we're doing it right now. And finally, Session 8.
Session 8 is persuasion, and in what we basically say that is every kind of communication you do is persuasion of some kind.
Of some kind.
Of some sort. Yeah. You're either trying to persuade people to take your position, to buy your product, to implement changes in the way that they do things at work that you want them to implement. Everything you do is to persuade people to either implement something or at least to get motivated about something. It's motivational, it's persuasive. So how do you persuade? What are the elements of it? And that's what Session 8 provides.
And I was reading just today, in fact, on KevinHogan.com, one of my favorite public speakers. He was saying that there's an element...
Even other than me.
Other than you. There's an element of persuasion, or the theory is that there's an element of persuasion in virtually every single communication that exists.
Absolutely true.
So anyway, you know a little bit more about us. I'm sure we'll talk more at various aspects and podcasts in the future. But
as time goes by.
We just wanted to talk a little bit about it, and we'd love to hear your feedback and comments. You can write us at tim@communicationsteroids.com or roger@communicationsteroids.com, or just go to our contact page on our website. That wraps up this podcast from communicationsteroids.com.